Yes, here we are yet again. I'm Kenny Gould, founder of Hop Culture, creative director at Untapped, and Hop Culture Ken on Instagram. Today on Untapped's virtual happy hour, I am joined by some very awesome people who do some very awesome things. If you have not heard of Ales for ALS, it is a national fundraising campaign started by Yakima Valley hop growing family to raise funds to research ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease. As far as beer industry fundraisers go, it is by far one of the most successful. Participating brewers receive a bag of experimental hops. This year, there were 2 different blends. They get that absolutely free, and they use it to make a beer. At least $1 of that beer from a pint of every beer needs to be donated to the ALS Therapy Development Institute. And since starting in 2013, the program has raised, wait for it, $3.5 million for ALS research. So here to talk with me today, in no particular order, are Megan Parisi and Aaron Bottens from Sam Adams, Bree Grealish from Lamplighter, and Mike Shannon, National Director for the Ales for ALS Brewing Program, who has been serving individuals and families in the ALS community for the last 14 years. All right, bringing everybody in. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Right on. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you as the National Director for the Ales for ALS program. Can you just tell us a little bit about the history and how the program got started?
Sure. The program idea came from the Smith family in Yakima, Washington, who own Loftus Ranches, which is a hop farm. And they are also now, and have been for the last 7 years, the proprietors of Bellbreaker Brewing Company. It was conceived by Megan Quinn, Mike and Cheryl Smith's daughter. And to call it Ales for ALS, it was really done in honor of their uncle and Cheryl Smith's brother, Scott, who, by the way, married my wife and I, who had ALS, and as did many members of Cheryl's family. And so they teamed up with Yakima, Chief Hops, and others to the first year roll out and have a program that had about 70 brewers in the program. Since then, of course, we're now at 200 to 250 brewers a year, depending upon the year. COVID year was a tough year, but we still had the program. And that program still every year gives out almost 11 to 12,000 pounds of hops to brewers across the country, just like these wonderful people here on the screen.
Yes, wonderful people. Let's talk to you. So Bree, you're at Lamplighter, and then Megan and Aaron, you are at Sam Adams. But I know that the recipes that you guys brewed this year had a little bit of a theme to them. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how your breweries are connected.
I can start off. No, we don't want to talk over each other.
It's very polite, Bree.
Yes. So I think the thought process was this was a true collaboration in many senses. So how do we tie a thread between not only the collaboration of working together and working with Ales for ALS, but also tying the beers together? So Lamplighter brewed a hazy pale. Aaron in Jamaica Plain brewed the single IPA, and then Megan in the Boston Tap Room at Sam brewed the double, which I'll let you guys talk. But so we obviously used the hop blends. There were 2 this year. Lamplighter used hop blend 1. Aaron and JP used 2, and then Megan used a combination of both. And then a theme running through completely was a similar grist bill. So really what I loved about that was just so many levels of things working together to make this such a cohesive collaboration. So that's my piece. I'll let you guys talk. You can talk way more about the recipe.
Yeah.
Why don't you go, Aaron?
Oh, okay, great. Like Bree talked a lot about this. Like we're pretty well connected here in the New England brewing community, and our two breweries have worked together in the past, so it just felt natural to get together and work on this. But our recipe here in Boston at the brewery in Jamaica Plain was really like our go-to New England. Like they're very popular here. We use our grist bill that's consisted of 2-row wheat and oats, and then use the ALS blend, which is actually a pretty cool blend this year. We had some new varieties that we hadn't been able to use before, so we're pretty excited about what came out of that.
Yeah. So, Megan, you can feel free to answer this one. I know we had 2 different blends and you used both of them, so you're the perfect person to speak on this. Blend 1 was mostly Citra Mosaic and HBC 630. And then blend 2 was Simcoe Euconaut. Okay. And mostly Mosaic. Can you tell me a little bit about how those 2 blends differed and how you got them to sort of work together cohesively?
Well, there's really a lot among all of those varieties that already works together really well. I mean, that's one of the reasons that blend, came together so nicely. But even bringing those 2 blends of the several different hops together, it was already very natural. There's a lot of the standard characteristics that are really well suited to these, hazy, juicy IPAs. There's a lot of tropical notes, a lot of citrus, some pineapple under there, but also, a good amount of bitterness that's not as common in some of the hazy styles, that you actually get this nice lingering resiny finish, at least from using the blend of the 2 varieties, which I got to do, which was really, really kind of nice. I'm sitting here enjoying some right now.
Is that what you're drinking right now?
Of course.
Amazing. What is everybody drinking, by the way? Can we flash them up? Oh, nice. Lamplighter batting for the home team. Lamplighter Sam Adams, perfect.
This beer here is from Ground Effect, and a gentleman by the name of Dennis Cerruti passed away from ALS, and this is in honor of Dennis.
That's awesome.
Cheers.
From
I didn't have Lamplighter or Sam Adams, so I grabbed another Boston beer. Shout out Trillium. Right on. So one of the questions, Megan, I was curious about with regards to those 2 different blends, was there any characteristics or qualities? You mentioned some of that, like tropical, really juicy notes and flavors. Was there anything that kind of really came out in one of the blends versus the other, or were they similar in a lot of ways, but each kind of added their own flavor? What was that experience like for you using both?
For me, I found enough synergy between the 2 that I wound up using them equally throughout the entire brew. That there was just such a perfect balance between them of a little more like resiny hop character and more of those, tropical juicy notes, that it wound up being kind of a perfect match to use them in equal balance on the hot side in the kettle, and then on the cold side during dry hopping. Just they worked really so well together. So I really got lucky. I think I truly got the best of both worlds in getting to use both varieties.
That's great. Mike, if we could take a step back real quick, year 1, when this program was first started, right now you're the national director for the program. Was that from the very beginning? You came out of the gate as a very well-formed program, or was the first year kind of up in the air? When did you come on and really form a lot of structure around the program?
Well, I worked with ALS TDI until 2014 originally, and so I helped start the program in 2013. The Smiths really are the ones that got it going. I came back to ALS TDI in 2019, and I've been running it for the last 2 years. And it always had the plan to be a nationwide program, and the limiting factor has always been how many hops can we get. So every year we're asking for more, and at a certain point, they have to kind of like say, that's timeout, that's enough. But exactly, like so but the Yakima Chief donates all of that through. Well, it's a cooperative, right? There's 5 hop growing families that in that cooperative, they donate that. Really, the essence of the program was to get brewers like Sam Adams and Lamplighter and all the Boston area brewers. We have a bunch in California, Washington, Florida, and then just almost not have a competition of like who can get the most brewers in a given area, but to try to build these collectives and these connections in that given area. Faction Brewing Company has had since 2014 a brew fest for us every year, and we've been doing that one in Boston, and we're going to be doing it with Mighty Squirrel this year, and we are going to be having one in Florida. So cool. It was always to expand beyond and try to get everybody to come together. It's just wonderful that Megan, Aaron, and Bree have gotten together with Tyler and figured out a way to kind of do this regionally. We have that in California as well. Rare Barrel and Faction came together. We have it in Washington. Bellbreaker did a collaborative with Cloudburst, Rubens, and a bunch of brewers in the Seattle area. So Georgetown. So it's kind of a labor of love to try to figure out other ways to grow the program and, as well, add more brewers. But that's a finite level. We can expand beyond that.
Sure. Bree, do you know how Lamplighter came to the program? Was it through Sam Adams, vice versa? Was it something else? When did you guys start participating, and what's the story there?
Yeah, I think for this, I had wanted to participate in this for a very long time. My grandfather passed away from ALS and was a big part of the beer world. So when I heard about Ales for ALS, it was like, absolutely, this is like a no-brainer. This is something I want Lamplighter to be involved with. And Lamplighter has a very, very robust community engagement program where we pick a charitable partner for every single month of the year. Cool. And we pick a beer to pair with that partner, and proceeds go towards that charitable partner. So I petitioned pretty hard for Ales for ALS to be our partner for the month of May for ALS Awareness Month. And when we were talking about it at Lamplighter internally, we were like, how do we get this to be something that really is impactful? And I said, well, I would love to work with Sam Adams. They're like, it would be incredible to work with them. Obviously, great people. My grandfather also was very involved with Sam Adams since the 80s. So again, this is like so many layers, right? Of something I wanted to do, something that works with Lamplighter, and then also really a big tribute to my grandfather and what he did, and why I'm in the beer industry as well. And luckily, Megan and Aaron and the whole team at Sam were on board from the beginning. And I mean, this project I'm still in shock that it came out the way it did. And I'm really thankful to the Sam crew for being with us all the way. And then Mike and the Ales for ALS crew have the support has been incredible. So it's been awesome.
Sam Adams has been in since the very beginning. They were one of the first in the program.
Yeah, so that was, again, very cool, too, to be like, we're the little guys, and for you guys to be like, we've been doing this, and we want to partner with you. It was so cool. So,
and for really such a cool organization that's done so much for the community. That's awesome. Bree, you mentioned your grandfather was involved with Sam Adams as a consumer. Did he work there?
Definitely a consumer, but also on the distributor side. So one of the original distributors of Sam Adams since the 80s. And he loved the crew there. And it very, very touching. My family is have deep allegiance to Sam Adams. I don't think there's a single family barbecue that Sam Lager is always there. So
That's great. I should say before we go further, if anybody watching has questions, of course, you're always welcome to put them into the conversation box, and I can actually pull those up on the screen. So otherwise, I'll just ask all my questions because I have a blast doing this. So if you do have questions, drop them into the chat box. Otherwise, I'll ask the questions. So Sam Adams' team, I know actually 2 weeks ago, we had some of your colleagues on this show to talk about Hop Culture's partnership with Sam Adams for Queer Beer Festival, which is coming up next week, next Saturday, which should be really fun, a celebration of queer identity in craft beer. And I know that Sam Adams as a brewery has been extremely supportive of the LGBTQ community. I know last year you donated six figures, $100,000 to GLAD, which is a really cool organization. And now I see you participating in this program as well since the beginning, it sounds like. And it seems that, I guess, the ethos of community or giving back to a community is very important to the brewery. Is that true? Is that something that you really feel working there, or is that a big part of the Sam Adams identity, or where does that come from, and like what has that been like working there?
It's definitely part of the part of the fabric of of Sam Adams. I mean, that stems all the way from the top, from Jim Cook, from just for his early days in the industry. But one of the things that has always attracted me to Sam Adams before I joined the team 6 years ago was just how active a player they've always been, especially in the New England and Boston brewing community in particular. But very civically minded. So not only as you were talking about with the donations to GLAD through our Love Conquers Ale brews that Aaron's team just put out this year. They're about to be releasing that over the next couple of days, and we're going to serve that also at the Boston tap room. Our tap room only opened last year, so we're just a little bit behind on initiatives, but we were able to support. We often work with the Transgender Emergency Fund. We did a brew for National Coming Out Day last October 11th, and we're also releasing a beer for this month, Beyond the Label, that will also support Transgender Emergency Fund during Pride Month. So it's just always, it's really heartening to see how serious our commitment as a company is, to just not just social advocacy, but just to supporting good and decent causes, supporting the ALS research. I mean, this condition is just devastating, and it affects people from so many age ranges, and the research needs funding, needs continuing. If this is a small way that we can help make a difference in that fund and in that pursuit of research, it's wonderful that we have the company support to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything Megan said too. Like the nice thing about having our two breweries here is that we can still be creative and have like two initiatives for the same cause. So like the downtown tap room where Megan works, they're doing the Beyond the Label?
Beyond the Label.
Beyond the Label. So we're releasing out of our brewery in Jamaica Plain the next version of Love Conquers Ale, which is called Revolution. And we actually just finished canning that and labeling that today. So that should be out here in the next couple of weeks, and it looks awesome. And we worked with two other local breweries for that collaboration as well. And I think the big thing for like the last year has really, like, we haven't been able to make as much beer as we normally do. It's been able to allow us to kind of pull back and think about what's important to us. And like, we are a small brewery in a very small neighborhood of Boston, and so we can kind of focus and turn our attention to other causes that are local. So like all of our donations are also going to Transgender Emergency Fund here for Pride Month. The ALS collaboration with Lamplighter was huge for us. Like that, it was like that was like actually the first collaboration we've done in over a year because of COVID. You know, like it was touching to have that connection, even if it was virtual. And you know, and we're still working with other breweries here in the local area to try to like get back and focus to our neighborhood. Like we're working with Franklin Zoo, which is also in our neighborhood, trying to come up with other styles and beer releases for that. So like this is where we look to collaborate with everybody, and we jump on every opportunity we can.
That's awesome. Now, Mike, I was clicking around on the Ales for ALS website, and I saw that the Republic of Cider in Seattle, Washington, was participating in this year's programming. And I was curious, is it only breweries that can participate in the program, or can other beverage producers get involved? And, you know, as a home brewer or an individual, like, are there ways for people to get involved as well?
Well, we do have a woman that came forward. Her name is Kim Ewan, and she has a connection to ALS. Her uncle passed away from ALS, and she wanted to create a hoppy cider program. So Herb Cider in Bellingham, Republica Cider, Bauman's, and I can't remember. There's Pierce County, out of Pierce County, Tacoma area. They all are producing a hoppy cider for this year, and she's going to try to recruit more of those people. And we would love cideries from all over the country to do that as well. But again, it is a hoppy cider, so if that's not what you do, you know, you wouldn't have anything to really contribute. But the home brewer thing is an interesting one. We've toyed with the idea. We did a few years ago try to package some of this blend every year and put it into different distributors, and it did marginally well. And had a couple of requests. So personally, I've got a little stash, and if any home brewers wanted them, they could message me directly, and I could possibly see how that might work. I did notice in the comments some international people.
Yeah.
We actually have tried to get a couple of Mexican breweries into the program. If anybody down in Nicaragua or Mexico, we do have two Japanese brewers. We had a Dutch one this year. I think we're going to have one from Germany.
Wow.
And so we do have some international brewers. We will ship to you. And we have some Hawaiian brewers, which are kind of international.
You got to go a long way to get to Hawaii. That's so awesome. Cool. Awesome. Mike, you mentioned people should get in touch with you for that secret homebrew stash. What is the best way to get in touch with you? Is it through the website or social media?
There's two. The best way would be either through the website directly, which is the letter A, the number 4A.als.net, or they could email ales4als@als.net. And then they can get any message to me. I'll get all those email messages, and they can, you know, ask me any question regarding the program. If they have brewers, we have people from all over the country that are constantly contacting me. I have 10 brewers in my area that would like to join, and it doesn't always turn out to be 10, but these are the 3 or 4 that they get recruited to the program. And actually, a guy that commented on here, Steve Kalina, he helped me out, and he got like 3 or 4 brewers from down Florida and Georgia. And he made a nice comment there to me, and so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Pontoon and the Florida Brewery and a couple of others. So,
oh, that's fantastic. And so, Mike, do you know how much the program raised this year? Are numbers still coming in?
You talking about 2020 or 2019 or 2021?
I forgot what year it is. 2021. Let's try 2021.
2019 raised about $600,000. 2020 will be about almost $400,000. We took a little hit during COVID.
It was a tough year. Yeah.
And then 2021, we want to get with our Brewfest the program to be at least $650,000 to $750,000. That's our goal.
Wow, that's awesome. So, you know, Bree talked about for her this kind of being a tribute to her grandfather and just working on a really personal level. Mike, in your time with the program, has there been maybe one moment in particular that really stood out to you or kind of gave you goosebumps as just a really beautiful moment that spoke to the work that you're doing?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's two in particular, and I'm standing up to grab a can. So when Bellbreaker Brewing Company canned their beer a few years ago, they called it Bubba's Brew. And so that's the image of Scott Hansis on the front, who was Cheryl's brother, who married my wife and I, who has passed away about a little over a year now. And he battled ALS for about 12 years. Great guy. And when they produced this can, he was still alive, and I saw him at Yakima at their event. And it was pretty touching to just see his image on here. The adult children called him Bubba when they were growing up, and so that's why they call it Bubba's Brew. And the other one was Andrew Ritter, who was a brewer at Oakland United in Oakland. And Andrew had ALS, just as ironic. You know, they were in the program before he got diagnosed.
Wow.
Diagnosed, they became part of the program. And Andrew has also passed since, but his dad, Chris, and others at the brewery still support the program. So when you get that deep connection, like Bree or anybody, and I know Boston Beer has some connections as well. It's just kind of like kismet. It's like it's amazing how many direct connections brewers have to ALS when you talk to them. It's just like, I mean, I know of 10 this year alone that are just like, yeah, my grandfather had ALS. So it's not a rare disease. And that's the thing. It's just people don't live very long when they have the disease. So the numbers that accumulate aren't large. And therefore, you know, the funding for the disease research is the problem. And there's a Stan Appel's a neurologist from the Houston area. And he said ALS is not uncurable. It's just underfunded.
Well, cheers to the work that you all are doing. I'll raise a beer to that. That's awesome. Cheers. Man, I've so many questions. I know we're almost out of time here. I did see Mr. Fred Smith said, watching from Boston, and happy to see Lamplighter on there. So shout out to you and your team. Let's see. So Sam Adams' team, I know that you've been in the program since the very beginning, and I'm curious, Megan or Aaron, if either of you know the story of how Sam Adams initially got involved at the beginning.
Well, let's see, the beginning of the program is just before my time at Sam Adams, because it's funny because I remember actually being at one of the festival events here in Cambridge, pouring at the one of the Tech Square right near MIT, pouring to Sam Adams when I was brewing at Wormtown Brewery. I think it was the year before I joined. So I know that the brewery I was with at the time and Sam Adams were already actively participating in the program, but just even from that, already knowing that, Sam Adams was already an active participant. Aaron, I think you preceded me at Sam by a little bit at least. So perhaps, I'm not sure your timing exactly, but you were there.
Yeah, I joined in 2013. So it's probably, Mike, when did you say that this started? Was it 2014, 2013? Yeah, I remember brewing the first beer. I don't remember the reason. I don't know the reason why. I just know that it has been a cause that we've stood behind, regardless of the reason why we joined, and it's important to us to continue to do that, support this program. So I look forward to this every year.
I think Mike Smith of Loftus Ranches, he a couple of other people that were on board immediately. Maybe Jim Koch. It's a good story to say Jim Koch, but I don't know.
Yeah, sounds like Jim Koch. Yeah.
Yeah, we.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say we do keep like pretty good relationships with our hop growers, so that's probably a main reason why.
I know we got involved earlier at Cambridge Brewing Company because our original head brewer, Daryl Haas.
I knew Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl was just he's one of these people that he's probably one of the most influential brewers you've never heard of for a lot of people. The reach that he has had across the craft beer industry has been remarkable. But even when when I was there before this was a formal program, we were already always participating in in fundraisers for for ALS research at the time. To support him and his and his battle. And he passed away 2014 maybe.
Yep.
But gosh, he touched so many, again, so much of the, especially the Boston craft beer community, but around the world, there's so many people I've come across who have just told me stories about his influence on them and opening their eyes to what craft beer in the U.S. could be, and they had no idea. So, for me, just in my my brewing experience, it's always been there's always been a tie to the importance of of supporting the research, so people can have a better life of the time that they have, whatever that is, and hopefully curing this eventually.
Well said.
Yeah, very well said. Mike, you had mentioned before Mexico, and I saw that somebody had mentioned that they are now living in Canada. And I was curious if there are any Canadian breweries that are currently participating in the program.
We had a Western British Columbia brewer involved a couple of years ago, but because of laws regarding charitable contributions, they can't get a deduction for providing it. So we've had a little bit. What they've done is they brewed a beer and they've given it to the ALS Society of Canada. So it's not officially part of our program, but they participate in spirit.
That's great. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I guess we can go around, and if there are any last minute things, we can start with Mike, and then Bree, and then Megan, and then Aaron. Any last minute things you want to say, or if you just want to let people know the best way to stay in touch, if they have any other questions or want to get involved?
Just get your brewers involved. They can contact me. Thanks to Untapped, by the way, and you can get your badge for the ALS for ALS program.
You can. Untapped. Yes.
And you guys have been incredibly supportive of the program this year, and we're eternally grateful to Tisha and Grace out west that have been helping us. So thank you.
Of course, they're legends on our team. And Mike, one more time, you said the web address for people who want to
a4a.als.net. ALS for ALS. If you just Google ALS for ALS.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Bree?
Yeah, I mean, Mike said it wonderfully. Thanks to everyone here. Kenny, Mike, Megan, Aaron. This has just been incredible. And it's been awesome to have this platform to talk to you guys and talk to everyone else, everyone watching. We have, if you're in the Boston area, Lamplighter has a little bit left of Beacon of Hops. I think it'll probably be gone this weekend, but if you're in Boston and you want to try some, head over to Lamplighter. We also have some glassware left as well. So lamplighterbrewing.com. You can reach out. Instagram works as well. And yeah, thank you everyone for this. And it's truly been incredible.
Thank you, Bree. Megan?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank Bree for, for approaching us in the first place about, coming together as a collaborative group, because we can always do more together. And that's just, I think one of the most important lessons from this is that, together we're heavy. We can always have a greater impact than we can alone. So just want to, thank you, and Tyler, for reaching out so that we could all, partner together on the Beacon of Hops. You can still, get our double New England IPA at the Sam Adams Boston Tap Room, and you can check us out on Instagram and online at Sam Adams Boston Tap Room. We have it on draft and crowlers to go only. We don't do any canning, but we do have crowlers to go, so you can take it with you. And they say they can't take it with you, but yes, you can take it with you. You can also enjoy it on site. And I know I'll leave it to Erin to talk about where you can get the single IPA version at the Boston Brewery.
Yeah, I mean, everybody said it, but thank you to everybody here, and thanks to those who are joining live. So you can still get a little bit of this beer in can at the Boston Brewery in Jamaica Plain. I think there's maybe a case left. But there's also, yeah, it's good, very good news. But we still have it on draft as well, so you can come and have a pint and grab one of the glasses too. And you can find us at SamAdamsBostonBrewery.com, and we're right off of the Stony Brook Tea Stop on the Orange Line. And it's the same handle for Instagram as well. So go find us.
One final thank you to Andrea Sheehy, who helped put this together a little bit. She was wonderful, and she's a great supporter of ALS TDI and the beer community.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you for the work that you're doing. $3.5 million for this cause is certainly no joke. Hoping to see those numbers go up this year, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you all.
Thank you guys for helping.
Thanks.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
All right. That was pretty cool. Definitely check out Ales for ALS on Google. From everyone here at Untapped Virtual Happy Hour HQ. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kenny Gould. You can find me on Instagram at HopCultureKen. Definitely like and subscribe to the Untapped YouTube channel, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. We have some awesome guests coming down the line. I know Paul from Great Notion. I know the cats from Eagle Park are jumping on at some point. So hope to see you next time. Cheers.